I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to this regular scheduled Oscoda Township Board meeting for February 26th. If we could begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Cummings?
Here.
Ms. McGuire?
Here.
Mr. Spencer?
Here.
Mr. Taser?
Present.
Mr. Sutton here? Mr. Worcesterbarth?
Present.
Mr. Palmer?
Here. Next is the agenda. I have one item that I would like to add, and that is an appointment to the Oscoda County Dam Prosperity Group. We'll make that number 8 under Other. Apparently our mics are not working.
That was the Dam Prosperity Group.
Yes, Dam Prosperity Group. Hello?
Nope.
Is that better? All right, I'll try and lean forward closer to the mic here. So we have that one addition to the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the addition?
Make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition presented under other number 8.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Worcesterbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the first public comment. This is relating to anything that's on the agenda. We ask that you fill out a card. Do we have any cards?
Yes,
Okay.
I can't hear Tammy either.
And if you would just state your name when you get to the microphone so it can be recorded.
His microphone's not working either.
Nope. Nope.
Check. What? Okay.
Project.
I'm going.
Go ahead.
I'll restart you. You're good.
Okay. I want to talk about the superintendent's duties. And some of the board members have suggested that our superintendent should be considered CEO of the township and run the township in a business-like form. And I don't think that's a bad approach or a bad idea at all. I agree that the day-to-day operations of the township should be run by the supervisor or superintendent or CEO. That's what the function of that position is, and that's how it should be. What I do have a problem with, though, is in the hiring and firing of the superintendent's direct reports. If you take a page out of corporate America, and I would say this looks more like a VP position that she's hiring or firing into, and having the CEO of our township firing and hiring their direct reports without having any board input at all makes no sense to me. If you look at corporate America, if I'm the CEO of the company and I want to bring in a vice president or I'm of a division, or I want to fire a vice president, there's always board approval for that. It doesn't happen in isolation, independent of the board being involved. I understand you don't want the minutia, and certainly the idea is to drive the decision-making down to the lowest level possible. You don't want to be making decisions at the highest level. The board shouldn't be making a decision on whether somebody needs to be hired or fired at the Old Orchard Park. That should be done by the Park and Recs director. He would make a recommendation, and the superintendent approves it or doesn't approve it. But the idea of having our superintendent hiring the department heads without the board involvement is just not responsible, and I think reckless. And I think that you should reconsider that, because those positions are the most important positions in the township, short of the superintendent and the elected officials. And to have no board input in who is in those positions, to me, seems completely wrong.
Thank you. Next.
Next, we have Ms. Mary Ann Tootin.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Mary Ann Tootin. I live here in Oscoda, and I'm also talking about that Resolution 04. Why would you give up the oversight function of the board? Why would you give it up? It's worked fine for decades. It makes no sense to me that it seems more like Tammy made a mistake in hiring the planning and zoning director, which she knew was a mistake. She's been with the township for how many years, working in that position, observed what happened when you tried to hire a seasonal employee, for God's sake, without the board's approval. She knew very well that was out of bounds and did it anyway. And now this resolution is coming in to say, oh no, it was really okay. Well, no, it really wasn't okay. Please don't give up your oversight. That's what the board is for. Okay, that's what you're here for. That's what you signed on for. So just do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Ms. Kelly Brown.
Good evening, Kelly Brown, Oscoda. I did want to bring up a couple of things out of the packet. The main one I wanted to talk about was the purchase of products that the police department has put into tonight's packet. I got an opportunity to speak with Officer Alexander, who's here, and I was discussing with him just, about the new vehicles coming in that you guys graciously approved. I believe it was out of the ARPA funds in, I think, maybe December's meeting or January. And in talking with him, I found out that a lot of our in-vehicle systems are, some of them are over 20 years old. And I just really want you to seriously support the efforts to bring these updated patrol vehicles into service. Not only the new ones, but the existing ones. The body cams. I also appreciate Chief Boland and Officer Alexander looking at the grants for the police officer training cadet program. I think it's a great way to introduce an officer to our community. I also think that the vehicle recording systems should be updated on all vehicles. And I know these are large expenses, but I think it is really important that we, since we also serve other communities, have the best capabilities for our officers. Safety should be the utmost concern for the officer as well as who they're responding to. On that note, there was also another grant in the packet, so I wanted to thank our new planning and zoning director, Mr. Buckner, for writing that grant and getting us $50,000. That was a terrific opportunity. The one thing I did want to add, I wasn't able to make the last full board meeting on February 12th. I was ill, And Jamie, you did a fabulous job. And I didn't get to make a comment online when I was watching it on YouTube. And I just wanted to know, why were the comments turned off? I mean, we've removed social media, we've gotten rid of Zoom, we've talked about in the policy subcommittee for future board protocols to limit the public comment to 1. We seem like, and then we're reducing the hours at the hall. It seems like we're really just starting to close in on the opportunity for transparency to the community. And I think that really should be considered. And lastly, on the hiring resolution, I've been up here and I've talked about it several other times. I think there needs to be checks and balances. I got to intern in a HR department during college, and I can tell you, escorting candidates around, I took them to the supervisor, the manager, and ultimately the department head before going back and interviewing with HR. So it shouldn't be a one-stop. It should be a multifaceted, and we entrusted our votes to all of you, and I believe that you should have control and oversight on all of the hiring. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
That's it. All right. Next up is the consent agenda, the meeting minutes from the February 12th, 2024 meeting, and the meeting with the Air Force on February 21st, 2024.
Yeah, I have a change that I requested last Wednesday to Josh. I pointed out there were a couple of mistakes in the Air Force meeting minutes. Let me get to the right page here in just a moment. So the first one was that Ms. Richards didn't adjourn the meeting. And the second one was one that was raised during the RAB when I was reading these minutes, because that's all the visibility I have in our interactions with the Air Force. And I just simply stated that Eagle is still inquiring about resolve on plugged contaminated sewer line. I don't think resolve is probably the right word, but if it is, the sentence doesn't make sense on its own.
Is that all you had, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, those are the 2 points.
I had brought those changes up to Mr. Sutton because I was at that meeting and I'm not listed on there. Next is the meeting minutes for February 12th. Any questions on that? Next is the payment of bills. The prepaids for February 27th in the amount of $39,663.45. The February 14th payments of $89,500. The check run for February 20th of $93,115.53. The tax overpayments and the 2023 payment in lieu of taxes are all part of the consent agenda. Any questions on any of those? If not, if I can get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the modifications I raised.
Support, Spencer.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Worcester,
Yes.
Ms. McGuire,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Taser,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer.
Yes, motion passed. Next is the subcommittee reports, and we'll start with Mr. Freeman.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Water main projects first, Phase 6, the Colbath area. We have a scheduled pre-construction meeting with the contractor a week from tomorrow, which will give us his tentative start date. and then also give us an idea on when services will start being installed so that we can get the next round of notices out to the property owners on that. No indication right now that he's got any delays or whatever, so we should anticipate him getting started as soon as possible on that. Phase 7, the township-wide service line project. Angela in utility billing has worked very well with me in getting the list of property owners that are not hooked up to the system that have access to the water mains. And we're just double checking that right now before we put that list out with the advertisement and bid for that project. Hopefully we'll have that out by early March and then have the bids come in by the end of March and start that construction up as soon as April or May. The water system, the 2024 DWRF program, we're doing the final coordinating with Eagle on that. Roe is preparing the 90% plans that will be needed to be submitted in March. And we've had our preliminary meetings with Baker Tilly and Micah Myers on the financial application process for those bond projects. EPA, the community grant project, which is the Senator Peters appropriation. I have the draft work plan ready in coordination with the DWRF project because we didn't want to overlap on that. Going to be submitting that to our EPA grant coordinator in Chicago and also be submitting for a local match exclusion so that we don't have to come up with the 30, I think it's 30% is what the basic language is on that. I've had verbal discussions with them and they don't seem to have any issues with that. If we have to have any local match, we're going to be able to use the DWRF project as a match to that. And then there's also the NEPA process. Since there's federal funds involved, that NEPA process is going through SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office, Fish and Wildlife, and all of the different agencies that oversee the project. But since we are building this in existing right-of-way, we should be able to get a categorical exclusion on that and expedite that process. So we tentatively have this project out for construction in late summer, early fall, we're hoping for. So the sanitary sewer projects, the 2021 CWSRF project is complete in the field. We are having some budget issues on the disbursement side with Eagle. We're trying to resolve that right now. There's a $10,000 discrepancy in there, so I'm working with Dave Worthington on getting that resolved to correct that, and that'll officially close that project out. The 2024 CWSRF project is similar to the water side, coordinating the final steps with Eagle. Roe is working on the 90% plans on that. I think some of you were out to see the pilot study going on last week. We should have the final result or final data collected from that and being evaluated here within the next couple of weeks. And we'll get that to Eagle and make sure everything is in proper order, moving on forward with that. And again, Baker Tilly and Micah Myers are working with us on the financial applications for that project also. Parks and Trail projects, the Ratliff Park project. We're going through the signed project agreement right now. At next board meeting on March 11th, there will be a resolution that'll have to be passed of the township accepting the passport grant, which is the next step in the paperwork process to get that project moving. Hull Island, we're just kind of on hold right now until that gets through the legislature and the governor's office, sometime probably in the June or July timeframe. And then we'll be in the same situation there as Ratliff. We'll have to have a resolution accepting the funds and then start the acquisition process from here on Pines. Phase 3 trail project is done. MDOT has to have the final review of the paperwork just to make sure. I've checked with Oscoda County Road Commission. They don't have any more bills that have come in. I've checked with Rose Office Tech. All payments have been processed, so there should be no more costs from the contractor coming in. There might be another bill from Rowe as far as finishing up the paperwork, but that hasn't been confirmed yet, so. Old Orchard Park, we're looking at trying to get with the Forest Service to get that ORV crossing there at on River Road by the park entrance approved so that we can get that striped and ready to go sometime early spring or spring or early summer. And we are looking at some repairs to the handicap fishing pier there. The Oscoda River Trail project, we've been coordinating efforts with the ad hoc committee on that. We did assist because the township had to, as the governing agency, submit on a Consumers Energy Put Your Town on the Map grant a week or so ago. So that's been submitted, and then we're also working with Eagle on any possible permitting issues on that. So that'll be ongoing. Facility study with WTA. The structural evaluation was completed. A multi-story facility on the existing site without the library and senior center was presented to the subcommittee last week. A rough estimate on that is a $20 million project. So we're looking at what the next steps would be there. Looking at some funding opportunities there through CBDG, MEDC, and state legislature and also federal legislature to see what opportunities we have as far as starting to line up funding on that if that continues to move forward. Continuing to coordinate with F&V operations and multiple service line issues as they arrive. The continuing water loss investigations. Working on the IPP permitting items. I believe there's a meeting coming up with the, next week. Tip-top screw this week. So, and other activities, miscellaneous grant opportunities, looking at another trust fund development grant, possibly for the Oscoda Beach Park for the boardwalk. Had a real good meeting with the Lakeshore Grant Committee that we've been working with last week, and they're going to provide some design options for building up to minimize the beach erosion and possibly some stormwater runoff that we can add it into our application process, which should go a long ways in helping us to continue to pursue funding for the different projects at Oscoda Beach Park. But we're kind of focusing on that particular park for 2024 as far as options for funding. Holiday Inn, all connections have been made. I believe they have access to water, and we are now looking with Rowe and John Henry to put in the curb that they didn't put in last fall when they did the water main there along River Road, and get that entrance off from River Road shaped up on the public right-of-way. So, and that's my report.
All right, thank you.
Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Rick? I would just like to comment that our DPW has been working diligently on the handicap fishing pier out at Ratliff Park. I stopped by there today to take a look at it, and it's going to look very nice. Mm-hmm. They've got all the structure in place. The pilings are there. The cross members, the beams are all in place. So even if the water comes back up, they'll be able to get out there and finish the work on that. So that's going to be very nice when that's done. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Next is my report for the Airport Authority. I don't really have a lot to report. They have a lot going on at the airport. I guess the biggest Sadly, the biggest news out there was the resignation of Jamie Downs as the airport director. It's not because of anything with the airport or the township. He loves that job out there, loves the area, loves the airport, but for family reasons, they want to move back to Oklahoma, which is where they came from. So because of the family situation, they'll be moving back there. So it's too bad. He was doing a lot of great things for us, the airport, but like they say, family comes first. So next would be the Planning Commission, Mr. Taser.
Well, hello, Planning Commission met on February the 5th and had a special subcommittee meeting on February the 20th. On February 5th, the Planning Commission had first reads on amending Section 1, Article 4, Section 10.1 through 10.5 of the 165 ordinance. That is dealing with site plans, so that was the first read that they did there. Amending Section 1, Article 6 to include a new section for electrical vehicle charging stations. That was a first read also. The Section 8-281 through 289 of the vacant building registry, there was working on that. The first read for amending Article 4 of the 164 or 165 ordinance, which deals with zoning out here at the Wordsmith District. That would be the new flight, so that flight district. They had first read on short-term rental ordinance and appointed Mr. Tim O'Connor to be the Planning Commission representative to the Economic Improvement Committee. A special subcommittee meeting was held on the 20th, review the municipal building study and review the revisions that were made on the flight district zoning. I didn't attend that. Unfortunately, I was sick, but I do have that report from the municipal building study. Quite interesting report there. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Next is the ZBA, Mr. Spencer.
We still haven't met. The ZBA still hasn't met, so I have no update.
All right, thank you. LDFA, Ms. McGuire.
I won't have an update until next month for our next meeting.
Okay. EIC, Mr. Sutton.
Nothing new to report on the EIC.
Okay. The 911 Board, Mr. Spencer.
I attended the last meeting, and they went through and talked about how they've added a booster to the top of one of the towers, and they'd been talking about that for a while. They got it done, and it did make a significant improvement, and since it made such an improvement, they're talking about adding an additional one to another tower, and that was pretty much it. Oh, I did ask specifically about the water boil advisory and the rave alerts that were sent out from that office when we notified them of the water main that broke here in Oscoda, and they confirmed that they did send that alert. And I personally saw people get the alert. I got the alert. I heard reports that some people did not get the alert, and that was. They told me that there's nothing. We can't go through and change everybody's phone settings. You can turn the notifications off. You can do all kinds of do not disturb stuff on your cell phone. So maybe some of those people had that setting set. I don't know. It would have to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. But the alert was sent to the 911 board, and they did notify rave alerts, and there was a push to any cell phone that would receive it. So that's my update.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next is the HUSRA, Ms. Klein.
Okay, so on February 6th, we had a meeting with the HUSRA board. We approved the booster tower painting proposal and awarded that to L&T Painting. We approved a booster tower inspection proposal from Dixon Engineering, and approved an RFP to go out for process safety management and risk management audit and update, which is due back March 25th. After this meeting, we went directly into a work session to discuss some revisions to the operations plan which we have continued. So we're still working on that.
Okay, thank you. Next is the RAB report. Mr. Cummings.
Yes, so last RAB meeting was on last Wednesday, February 21st. It was, in my opinion, a landmark meeting, simply because the Air Force willingly let the meeting take an extra hour longer than they've ever allowed their meetings to last. The meetings have always been tightly controlled, and they run from 5 until 8. This one ended at 9. The topics were spectacular, and I give tremendous credit to the community RAB member Kyle Jones and others for the great questions that were asked. It was, the meeting tenor was amicable, professional, but very pointed, and definitely intending to bring out more progress, quicker progress than what we've seen today. The primary walkaway from me was that we're just not moving fast enough, and it harkens back to a meeting that I had with the Air Force before the RAB was formed, when I mentioned to the Air Force that the speed at which CERCLA operates, CERCLA being a method by which the Air Force evaluates situations and determines what their next actions will be and how to correct them, that the speed at which CERCLA operates is far slower than Mother Nature. At that time, they didn't have a concept that PFAS had actually extended beyond the property lines of the Air Force Base. And it was in the next few meetings that we suddenly then started to find it had actually gone beyond the border. So again, I think it was a great meeting. It's well worth watching, even though it's a 4-hour investment, but I think it's a tremendous value. And thank you very much to Kathy Wisterbarth for her work on that.
Thank you. Next, the Cedar Lake Improvement Board. Mr. Wisterbarth.
No updates till the next meeting.
The Utility Subcommittee. Mr. Wisterbarth.
No updates until our upcoming meeting.
Okay. And the Oscoda Riverwalk Advisory Committee. Is there anyone from that committee
Community resource.
here?
Number 12.
You skipped this.
Number 12.
It's over here. This one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Community Resource Officer, Chief Bolin. Sorry, Chief.
Don Bolin, Chief of Police. Just to give an update on the Community Resource Officer. A couple of weeks ago, they had the first law enforcement firefighters basketball game. It raised over $3,000. The Oscoda sports boosters, which was a good turnout. A lot of people there. Everybody had fun, and we'd like to thank Sam Mashad for her help in organizing and planning everything. This March 8th, there is a battle for the badges hockey game at the Tawas Bay Ice Arena. It's at 7 p.m. It's a $10 admission fee, and the proceeds will be going to the Zamboni House. June 22nd, there's going to be a softball game at Furtaw Field like they had last summer. That was another good turnout. Officer Clank also has, we'll be scheduling 2 junior police academies this summer. I think the dates are still pending. And he wanted me to mention that at the school they are having problems with vape pens and marijuana. Are a big issue at the high school right now. So that's all we have on that right now.
Okay, thank you. So next is the Oscoda Riverwalk Advisory Committee. Is there anyone from that committee that they were invited to speak here this evening? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to the superintendent's report.
All right, your packet contains a contract from AMS Displays for fireworks display for the 4th of July. Our previous vendor, Ace Pyro, is completely booked for the season and cannot fit Oscoda into the schedule for July 4th. So once again, staff reached out to find a vendor. AMS Display has agreed to the budget amount of $15,500. If you have looked through the contract at all, they also are providing their own help. So this year, the township will not have to try and find employees to offload and reload after the fireworks display. Also, they actually have a pyrotechnical music program to go with the fireworks, which is something that we first saw with Ace Pyro, but was a lot more expensive to go with. He said that's more like a $30,000 show. So rather than put us in a position where we are fighting to find someone, I'm glad we reached out very early. Most of these places have their program set. We did receive a call from Great Lakes Fireworks this year to see if we needed them to do fireworks, which is always a consideration if the board would like to. But with them, we have the cost of $15,500, plus we have to find our own people to haul the fireworks out. So I know, Mr. Palmer, earlier you had stated that there was an issue with them not having a backup date. And I believe we could probably reach out to AMS Displays to see if we could possibly get an alternate date put in rather than have them shoot them off in the rain.
Yeah, I think in previous contracts, they've offered an alternate date if on the 4th it's bad weather or whatever, they can't fire them off. So I just, in reading through the contract, I didn't see an alternate date, but they said they would work with us to do the display at a later date, so.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
I had a question. I know that in the past we've had somewhat last minute requests to add money for a longer show, bigger show. Did that topic come up at all to see if they'd be open to that, or was it left just more about we'll see if we can do it if it does occur?
Which
Additional funds.
which company?
Well, the one that you're proposing here, AMS Displays.
Well, Ms. Lyons reached out to them and they agreed to the price right away. And then provided what they would be shooting off for that price. So they never brought up.
I'm so sorry.
Pardon me?
I was just going to say, was it comparable to the past inventory, to the past prices?
It looks like it. I had Mr. Hamlin take a look at it because they did provide a site plan and it's basically what we have done every year as far as blocking off the beach and the feet away from the pier where they're shooting them off. And he was fairly excited about the size of the fireworks that were going to be shot off, so. You're welcome.
So was that a yes, we did increase the budget from last year? Because I know that we
No.
have talked about that almost every year that I've been up here.
I would like to see if we could connect maybe next year with the chamber to see if we can do some fundraising to have a bigger show. Or if the board is so inclined to increase the fireworks budget, we could look at that too.
If I remember correctly, one of the reasons that we increased it in the first place was because we were having a hard time getting a vendor to come here. And it looks like that is continuing. So I'm glad that these folks said yes, but maybe next year we should budget a couple extra $1,000s to try and slowly get it up so they'll continue to come here.
Well, and a lot of communities too do fundraising to try and raise more money for the fireworks shows, so.
I remember
might
we
be a
did that one
possibility.
year, and then it just kind of faded away after that, so I don't know what happened to that fundraising, but it would be nice to see it come back.
Yeah, and I think, like I mentioned earlier, we may be losing out to some of the other communities downstate that they provide service for that are spending more money. I mean, they have a limited amount of people they and they want to do them all on the 4th of July, so they can only cover so many places, so the vendors are going to take the ones that are spending the most money, obviously. So I want to thank Ms. Lyon for, since our previous one from last year wasn't able to come up here, to find somebody at least that would accept this contract for this year. So we'll have our fireworks, so thank you for that. Any other questions?
Yeah, just in addition to Bill's comment about the alternate date, and I read through the contract, but I didn't see specifically any language in there about protecting the pier. That would need to happen for firing them off.
You're talking about
Prior,
the indicator.
prior vendors, there were some heavy, fire blankets, tarps. I just want to make sure that that's included in the contract so we don't hurt the pier in any way.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
I have just one comment. One of the best methods of getting people to contribute to these shows is passing buckets during the event itself. Usually when you have a few thousand people out there and you have volunteers walk through with buckets for donations for next year's show, they usually give out pretty good amount of money from that. It's just a suggestion.
Sure. Anyone else? Is there a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve the payment of $15,500 to AMS Displays for the fireworks display on the 4th of July, provided they include in their contract protections for the pier.
Okay. Is there a second?
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Ms. Worcesterbarth, to approve the contract pending having protection for the pier. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. So hopefully we'll have our fireworks this year, which is always a well-attended event, something everybody looks forward to every year. Next.
Okay, your packet contains a memo dated February 22nd, 2024, from the Township's Park and Recreation Director regarding the 2024 operation plans for both Old Orchard Park and Footsite Park, which is the next action item on this agenda. Board members will note 3 full-time and 45 part-time detailed within the operations plan. The 2024 operations plan for Old Orchard Park is required due to the township's lease with Consumers Energy. Approval of the 2024 Old Orchard Park operation plan requires township board approval. We do have a price increase for all the 21-day rates, which include the modern, primitive waterfront, and primitive backlots.
Okay. Any questions, comments? This is something we have to approve every year. And it's pretty much the same plan every year, other than with some adjustments to the prices. Any questions on this? Can I get a motion?
I'll move that we approve the 2024 Old Orchard Park operations plan.
Support?
We have a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Sutton, to approve the Old Orchard Park 2024 operation plan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, the motion passed. Next is a similar plan for the foot site. You want to explain that?
Okay, very similar to the previous agenda item concerning Old Orchard Park. A 2024 operations plan is also required for Footsite Park. Your packet contains the proposed 2024 operations plan for Footsite Park. Board members will note that Old Orchard Park staff will be performing the ongoing maintenance of both the grounds and the bathrooms. The 2024 Footsite Park operations plan requires township board approval. Another housekeeping item.
Thank you. Again, the same plan we have to approve every year to provide to consumers power. Any questions, comments? Can I get a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve the 2024 operations plan for Footside Park as presented.
Support. McGuire.
We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Ms. McGuire to approve the 2024 operation plan for Footsite. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the purchase order for Old Orchard Park.
Okay, another housekeeping item. Your packet contains a memo dated February 21st, 2024, from the Parks and Recreation Director concerning the approval of purchase orders related to the Old Orchard Park Campground store. The store has several different vendors that are projected to spend more than $2,000 for the 2024 camping season. This memo details the line items in the 2024 budget dedicated to those purchases. During 2023 camping season, the store spent $96,708.43 with these vendors. The Township Board is being requested to approve a total not to exceed $105,000 as currently budgeted for these vendors.
Any questions on this item? Again, this is something we do every year. This is so they can stock the store up. Can I get a motion, please?
I'd make a motion to approve an amount not to exceed $105,000 even for payment of vendors associated with the Old Orchard Park Campground store.
Support, Sutton.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton to approve the purchase orders for Old Orchard Park in amount not to exceed $105,000. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the police requests.
Okay, your packet contains a total of 5 requests from Chief Boland and the Police Department for grant permission, an internship, and equipment upgrades. Chief Boland and Officer Greg Alexander will be present this evening to discuss and explain each request in detail.
Okay, thank you. For quite some time now, Oscoda Police Department's had an open position. We're currently not getting any certified officers to apply, and that's a problem. Ranges from everything, bad media, nationwide. People aren't interested in law enforcement anymore for the most part. So what I'm going to request is changing the current job posting for a new officer to include academy sponsorship. I would like to do that as soon as possible so we can get it in. Request authorization to apply for the Public Safety Assistance Program for a maximum of $24,000. What that grant allows is for up to $24,000 per officer that we recruit to pay the salaries and the academy costs. That money is also, if the officer leaves within 4 years, it's prorated, and they are required to pay that back if we request. It's kind of a win-win. It kind of makes sure that we keep an officer for at least 4 years. I think once they come, I think they'll stay. It's a good department, and I think we can work out good getting somebody. I've actually had several people contact me about sponsorships, and unfortunately, I have to tell them we're not currently doing that because it's not in the contract. We can only hire certified officers. So they're just sitting in limbo. I have their names, I have their numbers, and if this is approved, I will reach out to them and have them submit applications. The other thing is I request that the Township Board submit a request to the PLC union to open the contract for negotiations in the following matters. The current contract does not outline police academy sponsorships, which go along with what we just spoke about. Assigned vehicle program, we were approved for that. I think it was like 2 months ago. Just we'd like to get it in the contract so it's done. some department structural changes as needed. I'd like to give our sergeants a little more authority, so that's one of the changes I'm thinking about. And then other items determined necessary by the employee. And that's in there because with changing the contract for the police academy sponsorship, there's going to be questions on each side, how to get through it, which is fair to both sides. And that's why that last one is in there. It's currently all I have on that right now.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Anyone have any questions?
Can you apply for the Public Safety Assistance Program before we have the current contract updated?
We may be able to, yes. Okay. But the academy, we'd like to get somebody in is this August, so the sooner we move on it, the better it would be.
How long do you think those contract negotiations will take, ballpark?
For that part, I don't think very long. It's just a change in language that I think they can both decide on.
Do you think the union would be open to that prospect?
I do.
Good. Well,
Oh, go ahead, Bill.
No, go ahead. Do you have a question?
I do.
Okay.
I guess, my question is, if we apply for the grant and we don't get it, does that mean you don't advertise for a police officer, or how does that work then?
Well, there's several $1 million in that grant, and it's nationwide. You can actually, a department can put in for up to 25 officers, and we're only going to be asking for one. I think we'll get it. I don't.
Okay.
So.
But to answer the question, we would continue to advertise.
Yes. We currently have an advertisement out.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
An older, it's old.
Yeah.
It's.
Okay.
is that $24,000, is that a yearly thing, or is that?
No, that's just to pay for sponsoring them through the academy and their wages while they're there. And so I believe it's some equipment that while they're in the academy.
How long does the academy last?
I think they're 17 or 18 weeks right now.
Ow! Oh, I was thinking it would be way longer than that. Okay, thank you.
Well, if there's no other questions, I would like to make a motion to approve the police chief's request to approve changing the current job posting for police officer to include academy sponsorship option, authorize Chief Boland to apply and process necessary paperwork for the Public Safety Assistance Program, authorize Superintendent Klein to draft a letter to the POLC Union President requesting the current contract be open for negotiations.
Support, Sutton.
Can that be done all together?
Yeah, that's all,
Yeah.
all one
Okay.
thing. Yeah. Have a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Sutton to approve the request and to renegotiate with the union. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Worcesterbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is second request from the police department.
Okay, second on the list from us, good evening, board, is a request for us to update our service pistols. Currently, our Glock 21 platform is going on about 10 years old. Not that it's been a bad platform for us, but there certainly have been advancements made. Recently, Officer Hart, who does our property room completely, he did an auction of seized evidence that we've had for a while, and he made about $22,000 roughly, and that's going to basically cover this project. This is actually how we got the current platform about 10 years ago. We did the same thing. New platform, we're switching to my recommendation of the Sig Sauer P320. The grip frame on that's more modular. We can design it to each shooter for their hand size. Adding optics has become a very popular thing in law enforcement. It's increasing accuracy. It's helping in stressful situations. I won't say training costs will be reduced because we're still going to spend the money on ammo, but we're going to get more training for the same dollar by switching from the 45 to the 9mm. So Basically, this project wouldn't cost us anything out of our budget this year. The trade-in value plus the auction money that we have coming back in from the sale is going to cover the entire project. I did seek multiple quotes from the two Sig Sauer dealers for law enforcement for Michigan, and the low quotes in the packet there by about $4,000 of a difference from the other one for the same equipment.
Any questions?
Oh, great job raising some money.
Yeah. Nice.
Switching from a 45 to a 9?
Correct. Following suit with what everybody else in the world's doing.
Think that's the best way to go?
Actually, studies have shown that with the advancement in ammo technology, the 45 and the 9 are much more comparable nowadays than what they once were. And the shootability of the platform for the officers and the increase in capacity, less weight, there's many benefits. I won't sit here and tell you the 45 and a 9 side by side that there wouldn't be a difference, but the advantages certainly outweigh, in my opinion, what those would be.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I would make a motion to approve switching the department's service pistols from the current Glock 21 to the Sig Sauer P320 equipped with the M17 optic as presented.
Support.
You're going to also include the 365?
It does, yes.
You have included the P365 also for each officer?
Yeah, the total on the quote on that's $23,910, and that's before what we would get back in our trade-in value. We just won't know that number until after they've evaluated the condition of our current guns, but they've estimated $325 a piece on that, which I think they'll meet.
Was there support?
Yes.
Who made the support? Jamie. We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Ms. McGuire to approve the purchase of the new firearms for the police department. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next request.
Next on my list is I would like to request authorization to go out for the power plan risk reduction grant. The grant's a maximum of $5,000. There's not a match on it. It's through Power Plan, our insurance company. And the purpose of it is for them to reduce risk and liability that we might have since they are insuring us. I've spoken with them several different times about different ideas of things to do. And the police department's in dire need of a storage solution for records, overflow of property, and we don't have the greatest solution right now as far as, not that this would be a climate controlled solution, but it would be dry at least. I'm proposing that if approved, that I seek the grant for a shipping container that we would use for records and other overflow of items for storage. And in talking with the power plan administrators, they were intrigued by the idea because they like to see things that aren't the same every time, and they have not had that request yet, so they were fairly intrigued by it, I guess.
Where are you going to put it?
To be determined. We have a spot, but I don't, with what we're going to be potentially storing in it, I don't want to necessarily say.
Fair enough.
Any other questions?
Could you, when you get that, I mean, with all the previous talk of container homes and whatnot, would maybe next year would it be something that you could add some climate control to that shipping container?
Sure, potentially. So I don't have exact numbers yet for what the quotes would come back at, because I need authorization to start on the grant process. If approved at the next board meeting, I will have a resolution for you that has to go with the grant for the exact amount of what our quote comes back at. And then I have spoken with a few suppliers, and we will be under the $5,000, not by much, but it will cover the whole cost of it if approved.
I'd make a motion to approve going out and applying for the PAR plan for the 2024 grant cycle.
Support. Sutton?
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton, giving authorization to the police department to go up for the Michigan Township Participating Plan Risk Reduction Program. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next request.
Next request is the in-car dash camera system request. A little bit of history currently. Our current system is through WatchGuard Video, which no longer exists because Motorola bought them, like anything to do with law enforcement. But we've had that system for about 10 years now. We anticipated starting to transition to the new M500 system that Motorola is putting out, which is basically the upgraded version of what we currently have. Our original plan was to slowly transition as we did new vehicles and outfit new vehicles with new cameras, keep old vehicles with old cameras until we cycled everything through. Unfortunately, in talking with Motorola recently, our current server, evidence management video system, and our current cameras are no longer going to be supported at the end of 2024. So originally I had got a quote for the 4 new cameras for the 4 new patrol cars that are going into service here this year. And those would have been put onto the cloud system that they are now using instead of our internally housed server. If we had an issue with our, after finding this out about them ceasing support, if we have an issue with our server, with our cameras, anything like that, we would be non-operational on all of the old cameras, and we would lose all of that data that we currently have, which would be an issue for criminal cases, liability, many other things. I did explore an option of migrating our current data over to the cloud and keeping our old cameras online and having them upload to the cloud, but the price on that was almost comparable to the price of switching everything over to new cameras.
So what are we gonna do with all that old data? Is that just gonna, is it gonna become inaccessible then?
It will still be accessible to us on the current server that we have. We have a dedicated server right now for just video evidence.
But if anything happens to it, we're just out of luck.
Yeah, it does have backups in it, and we could do recovery. It wouldn't be the end of the world for what we currently have, but if we kept adding more and more to it over time, as things phase out, our retention guidelines are gonna fall off, but we're not gonna need to keep that any longer with the transition. So the only thing Motorola does do is, because they understand that most people don't have $125,000 up front, is they give us a payment plan.
Oh.
I knew you'd like that.
It just makes me happy. So did you look at anybody other than Motorola? Because, this is kind of a dirty trick, and I don't like
I did. Basically, there are 2 big names in this game, and that is Axon, which also has the Taser platform, as well as a body camera and a dash camera. Their dash camera is very new. They've been doing the body camera for quite a while. I did not actually seek a quote from them, but I found some quotes some other agencies shared, and they were actually substantially higher than Motorola. I will say we are happy with the current WatchGuard system, which Motorola has just tweaked and taken WatchGuard off and putting Motorola on for a label. It has worked very well for us. The advantage of this new system would be the last time we had to replace the WatchGuard, the video server, I think we were about $35,000 to replace that server, and we would not have that cost because we would be cloud storage.
How much is the cloud storage recurring fee monthly?
It's included in the 5-year payment plan for the first 5 years, and then after that, they won't tell you a price right now until you get there.
Yeah.
So let's see how much data you're storing every year.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions on this?
Well, we have to do it. I make a motion to approve the in-car video system upgrade from WatchGuard to the new Motorola Wonderfulness.
The M500 cameras to replace all existing 4AE cameras?
I will say the M500, yes. And the M500 cameras to replace all existing cameras for the vehicles.
And outfit the new vehicles with cameras is presented in option 2.
Yes, and outfit the new vehicles with cameras as outlined in option 2.
Support.
On a side note on that, that doesn't fit into our CIP plan, just so everybody's aware.
Question was, where were we gonna?
What was that? I'm sorry.
That does not fit into our,
Capital improvement.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
I'm just letting everybody,
We do have 14,000 budgeted towards dash cameras. I'm not sure why the number came in so low. I don't think we had planned on replacing
the whole system.
the whole system. So, but in the next 4 years, we can put that in capital improvement for the payments since we have those outright this year.
And we have sufficient ARPA funds left to do the first year's payment?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Do we have sufficient ARPA funds to just pay it?
So we have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton, to approve the police request for new dash cams. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wishterbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next request is the body cameras.
Okay, last request too, for today. This is something we've been wanting to add. It would have been something that we would have waited to bring up in budget times with doing capital improvement plans and stuff like that. The reason I bring this forward today is there is a grant available specifically for body cameras for small agencies that we classify for. It's called the Small Rural Tribal Body Camera Program, and we check 2 boxes being small and rural. Good news is it's grant money and it looks like it's a pretty good shot of getting the money. Bad news is the max that we can obtain from it because our number of officers is $26,000. Sounds great until you find out the quote's almost $70,000 for body cameras.
But since it's so high, then our match is obviously met, yeah?
Our match will be met, yeah. It's a 50-50 grant. The payment plan we would not be able to do because we wouldn't be hitting the match. We would be paying up front if we were awarded the grant. So I would need first authorization to seek the grant and see where that, went, if that was a direction the board wanted to go.
And then if you win it, come back and bring it up again for budget allocations?
To apply for the grant, I would have to have agreement that we are going to cover at least the other 50%, to apply. Because that's a box I have to check on the grant, is that we are going to provide the other 50% funding.
Tammy, is that in their capital improvement?
We don't have body cameras in our capital improvement. It would have been,
So you would have to amend their budget?
It would require a budget amendment. I think at this time, he can go out for the grant funding because we don't have to take it. He could go out for the funding. If we're awarded, we would have to apply the remainder, and he could bring that back to the board. I could bring it back to the board for approval at that time. So we either take the grant funding or, say, no, we can't do it at this time. So I don't believe we're obligated at that point until
I don't know for sure, but yeah.
So for tonight, we want to approve going out for the grant funding?
Yes.
And approving, I guess, that we would match, because I think that is a box that has to be checked on the grant, is that we would commit to the match.
That's on every grant.
I know.
Yes.
And again, would we have ARPA money or some of the marijuana funds to use for that match?
Yes.
I believe so. Mr. Sutton was checking that number
Yes,
today.
I think so.
I would make a
questions on
motion that the police department be provided authorization to go out and apply for the grant with the understanding that the board will match the 50% requirements should we be awarded the grant.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings to authorize the police department to go out for the grant, apply for this grant. Roll call, please.
Mr. Worcester.
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
Thank you both.
Okay, all right. We need to take a 2-minute break before we have a disaster here, I guess. I want to thank the police department for bringing this to our attention. I think everybody in the community wants to have our police officers to have every tool that's they need to have to do the job we're asking them to do. And in today's world, body cameras and dash cams are critical. That relieves a liability issue for the township in many cases.
Save on insurance?
And well, we can certainly look into that.
Hey.
But,
Have we had conversations with the Sobel Township in regards to, would that fall under their shared services later for next year? or-
Good question.
I have not. Chief Bolin is currently working on a 5-year plan for Oscoda Township, though, so I'm sure that will be included.
Okay.
What's that?
we probably should. You said 2 minutes.
You got these, right?
Do you have the timer on them?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
4 AM comes early.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Row invoices. Yeah.
Ms. McGuire had the timer on you and you've made it under.
Made it. Good.
All right, next on the agenda, we have a number of row invoices.
Okay. Your packet contains the following listed invoices from Rowe Engineering for services rendered. These invoices require Township Board approval.
First up is row invoice 111872. Are there any questions on any of these? Can answer.
The only thing, Tammy, though, after we met this morning, I had a chance to look at the general ledger, and in 591-527-821 number doesn't exist.
Well, I've got
Hold on.
Okay.
I think it might supposed to have been 537.
Oh, okay.
It's a new number for me, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure we had it right in the motion in case, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Is it
So it's 5-3.
It's not crucial, but.
Is it 591-000-821-00? Is that the correct?
Well, it's no longer 000. They changed those numbers and added,
The 590-527-821 is there, but not the 591, which I don't know why.
which should be there.
Yeah.
They're opposing funds.
Yeah,
So which one is not there?
the 591-527-821 is not
So can
there.
we just say engineering fees, paid from water engineering fees, that way?
From water, yep.
That way I'm not glued to that if it's not 537.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, because in our budget, we had item 59100082100 for engineering fees, and we had budgeted $30,000 in that.
Correct. That's the old number. Now that number is different.
Different, yes.
They're all different.
Okay.
So those are the only two incorrect account numbers on the list there? Everything
Yes.
else is good to go?
Yep.
Well, I'd make a motion to approve invoice number $111,872 for the Iosco Exploration Trail in the amount of $1,820 even to be paid from account 101-751-880.572.
Support. You got it.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Ms. McGuire, to approve roll invoice 111872. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
I'd make another motion to approve invoice number $112,078 for as-needed services in the amount of $935 even to be paid from account 101-299-821.000, which is hopefully correct.
I will support that. We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Palmer, to approve roll invoice 112078. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
I'd make a motion to approve invoice number $112,079 for the Oscoda Township River Road Water Main in the amount of $4,106.25 to be paid from account 101-000-720.528.
Support, Cummings.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings, to approve roll invoice 112079. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
Make a motion to approve invoice number $112,080 for 2024 Oscoda Township, the DWSRF in the amount of $22,797.50 to be paid from account that is for
Just-
water
Water engineering.
engineering, for water engineering.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Wurstabarth, pay roll invoice 112080. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
Make another motion to approve invoice number $112,081, Oscoda Downtown Water Main in the amount of $2,444 even to be paid from the Water Engineering Fund.
That one's sewer.
Sewer Engineering
And that
Fund
number is actually correct.
to be paid from account 591-527-821.000.
Is there support?
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Wurstabarth, to pay roll invoice 112081. Roll call, please.
Tammy, that was the second to the last one. Shouldn't that be water still?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we did the.
Yeah, we haven't done that.
I'm
one
in
yet.
my motion back to
Sorry,
the
Jeremy.
Water Engineering Fund.
Okay.
I'll support that.
Thank you.
Roll call when you're ready.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
And the final motion for this section I move to approve invoice number $112,082 for the 2024 Oscoda Township, what is that, the City Water Revolving Fund in the amount of $97,849.50 to be paid from the Sewer Engineering Fund.
Clean water.
Clean Water Engineering Fund.
There you go.
Thank you.
Support, Sutton?
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton, to to pay roll invoice 112082. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is a pay request.
All right, your packet contains the second pay request in the Phase 6 water main project in the amount of $16,280.60, leaving a total of $1,564,102 on this project. I would ask that the board consider approving the second pay request from Schaff and Associates Construction in the amount of $16,280.60 to be paid from C2R2 funds after reimbursement is requested and deposited into the township's account.
Any questions on this?
I would make a motion to approve the pay request for Schaff and Associates Construction, Inc. in the amount of $16,280.60 be paid from the C2R2 funds after reimbursement is requested and deposited into the township's account.
Support.
We have motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Ms. McGuire for the second pay request to Schaff and Associates. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the fire department request.
All right, your packet contains two memos from Fire Chief Alan McGregor to purchase items that were a part of the 2024 capital improvement. The first item requested to purchase will be the bunker gear dryer unit. The unit will be utilized to dry out bunker gear and dive gear quickly and efficiently to have our firefighters ready for the next call. Chief McGregor is recommending purchasing the Ram Air dryer unit in the amount of $9,634.91. So we'll address the dryer first. He's recommending the Ram Air over the Williams direct dryer. Granted, there's a $3,000 difference, but the reviews for the lower priced unit were not very good. So he actually budgeted $9,000 in the capital improvement, but as most of you might recall from the last meeting with approval with the trucks, he is coming in approximately $7,000, just over $7,000 on his wildland fire gear, which is the next purchase request. So that will make up for the 634 extra here and the extra on the brush truck. So he will remain within capital improvement budget. So, yes.
Any questions?
Are they both, so is that account number correct on there?
Yes,
So both of these items are coming out of the same account, so there's no reason to move any money or?
correct. This is the fire department
Okay.
equipment fund.
Well, I would make a motion to purchase the dryer unit in the amount of $9,634.91 to be paid from Fund 206-000-981.000.
Support. Sutton?
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton to approve the fire department request for a dryer in the amount of $9634.91. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the second request.
Okay, the second request to purchase is 31 sets of wildland firefighting gear. This gear will be greatly needed in the upcoming spring fire season and has been allocated for in the 2024 capital improvement. So the cost of this gear is $27,651. He did receive two quotes. There's a third quote here, but it didn't meet the required specs. So he would like to go with the MES equipment.
Any questions? Comments?
Is this replacing gear or buying new gear?
It's buying new gear.
I just wanted to clarify, there's two numbers on that MES line, the 24,000 we ignore.
The 24,000 had different specs that didn't meet the requirements. So they must have given 2 quotes for that.
I would make a motion to consider, or to approve the purchase of the 31 sets of wildland firefighting gear in the amount of $27,651 to be paid from Fund 206-000-981.000.
Support, Cummings.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings, to approve the fire department purchase of wildland firefighting gear. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next section is our resolutions. First up is Resolution 2024-04, reestablishing duties of the superintendent. Questions or comments? We've talked about this for quite some time now. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-04.
Support, Sutton?
We have a motion by Mr. Wusterbarth, support by Mr. Sutton to approve Resolution 2024-04. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
No.
Mr. Cummings?
No.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is Resolution 2024-07.
Hi.
You want to explain
Okay,
this?
so the resolutions in front of you, 2024-07 and 2024-08 are both pertaining to going out for the bonds for CWSRF and DWRF. I believe the first one is, so let me just make sure. For the DWRF, this is the standard that we did in 2021 for the bonds that we received for DWRF then. I did send them to the township's attorney, but she said, hey, these are done by your bond counsel, so I don't need to review. It's just basically for the loan program.
Any questions, comments?
I just, in the heading of it, on the first page, so it's page, where are we on the back of here? Oh, my page number's not up. But it says we meet at 7 PM, so it should be 6:30.
I can adjust that.
Okay.
It needs to go on letterhead as well anyway, so. But we received these very last minute, so.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2024-07.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. McGuire, support by Mr. Spencer, to approve Resolution 2024-07. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is Resolution 2024-08.
Okay, so as with the DWSRF, you have the CWSRF revenue bonds. I could change the time on that, and I see that's 7 o'clock as well. But these are to go out for bonds for our CWSRF 2024 projects.
Any questions, comments? I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-08 as it relates to improvements to the Township sanitary sewer system and to authorize publication of notice of intent to issue revenue bonds in related matters.
Support?
We have a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Worcester to approve Resolution 2024-08. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next, we're on to other. First item on there is appointment to the Board of Review. I think you have the information in your packet.
If there are no questions, I would make a motion to approve the appointment of Kathleen Carmona to the Board of Review.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Ms. McGuire, for the appointment of Kathleen Carmona to the Board of Review. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the agreement with the AYSO soccer. Just
So this
something-
again is a housekeeping item we do every year for AYSO soccer. I just need approval for this agreement, and it can be sent over to whomever is doing the AYSO soccer this year.
With that, I would make a motion to approve the AYSO Operating Agreement 2024 as presented.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Ms. McGuire, to approve the AYSO soccer agreement as presented. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the agreement for the softball and baseball.
Same housekeeping for youth softball and baseball. Agreement is done every year with the township for use of the field.
With that, I would make a motion to approve the Oscoda Youth Softball and Baseball 2024 contract as presented.
I'll support that. We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Palmer, to approve the youth softball and baseball agreement for the 2024 season. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next up is the 2024 CWSRF sewer project.
So, in your packet, we have a bond council proposal for the 2024 CWSRF sewer project. I believe for the total for this project is going to be 21,000. Is it 21,000? Yes, 21,000.
21,500.
Well, there's two amounts there, right here, right? Let's see this one. Okay, though not to exceed on the 500, I apologize. So, this is reimbursable.
Yes,
Correct.
this will be reimbursable through the disbursement process once the loan is closed. This doesn't have to be paid until the loan is closed, and this will be, any of their invoices will be submitted as a disbursement request. Because this goes all the way through. This is not only the work they're doing now, but this is the final bonds and all that stuff that are signed after closing and all that stuff, so. For both, speaking to this one, this is the CWSRF, and the other one is for the DWRF.
Yes. Any questions?
Rick, does this Michael Myers, are they the ones that'll say, These are where your rates have to be in order for you to be able to make these installment payments back, and that, whether we're in that ballpark or not.
No, that's Baker Tilly.
That's Baker Tilly.
That's
okay.
Baker Tilly, yes.
Michael Myers is the law firm.
Michael Myers is the bond attorney, yes. He's the one that creates the stack of books that have to be signed.
Okay.
We do have Baker Tilly upcoming.
They're coming
so
up. Yeah.
That's at the end.
Oh, okay, maybe
Yeah.
that's why I was waiting. Okay.
Baker Tilly's the
All right.
next one.
I'll ask that question later then.
I would make a motion to approve the 2024 CWSRF sewer project bond contract proposal as presented.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support with Mr. Spencer, to approve the Mike Myers as the bond counsel for the 2024 CWSRF program. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the same thing for the water program.
Okay, so this bond council proposal is $18,500. And as with the previous, this one will cover drinking water state revolving fund.
Any questions, comments?
I'd make a motion to approve the 2024 DWSRF water project bond council proposal as presented.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Wisterbarth to approve the Mike Myers as bond counsel for the 2024 DWSRF program. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wisterbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the proposal from WTA Architects.
All right, so this proposal is for the grant funding that we received just recently for Ken Ratliff Park. This will be paid through reimbursement.
Correct, this will be paid through
Of that passport
the
grant.
passport grant. Portion of this will be the township's local match commitment, but then depending on where the project comes in at, we go up to 150,000 in the grant and then local match after that. So,
The grant we received was for up to 150,000.
yes, and this is a grant eligible service.
Did you say the local match was after the 150,000?
It's back when we did it, it's $150,000 max in the grant. So then the minimum local match is 37.5, 25%.
Okay.
So again, where our project budget comes in at as we go through it depends on how much additional local match that would have to be put in.
We are currently working on our local match already.
Yes.
With the repairs, all the repairs that are going on to
Oh, that
Warrior
all counts?
Pavilion.
Yes.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah, we're keeping track of material costs and labor costs, and we'll be able to throw that in for local match.
Very good. Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the WTA Architects Ken Ratliff Park proposal as presented.
Way in the back.
Support. Spencer.
We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Spencer to approve the WTA Architects plans for Ratliff Park and Warrior Pavilion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wisterbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the Baker Tilly.
All right, so you have a proposal agreement for CWSRF and DWSRF. And in case I need to clarify, because we keep throwing that out there, and if nobody remembers, clean water, state revolving fund, drinking water, state revolving fund. So sewer, water, just in case, for everybody's clarification. This is where Ms. McGuire was asking about our rates as compared to our payback. And yes, this is the company that did our last rate study. And their proposal is for $25,600, and this is reimbursable.
Correct.
The same.
Correct.
So our rates are, right now, are good to be able to repay back these brand-new ones?
Yes, they made the evaluation, your rates with your already annual increases that you've got programmed in.
Excellent.
You are good to go.
Excellent news.
They were actually, thought our numbers may have been wrong at first. And I said, oh, no. He said, he was very happy to see
Okay,
that.
good,
so.
okay. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Is this one in motion? Did you need to do the checking accounts in that or something?
No, we'll do that after.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to approve the engagement letter and appendix from Baker Tilly as presented for consulting service on the CWSRF project with a fee for finance and advisory service of $25,600 to be paid from the CWSRF funds once they're available.
Support, Sutton?
We have a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Sutton to approve the Baker Tilly proposal for the CWSRF project. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wurschterbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the same thing for the drinking water revolving fund. Do you want to repeat what you just said, or? we-
Is that
It's the same
necessarily,
thing. Yeah.
unless you really want me to.
So I will make a motion to approve the engagement letter and appendix from Baker Tilly as presented for consulting services on the DWSRF project with a fee for financial advising services of $25,600 to be paid from the DWSRF funds once available.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Ms. McGuire to approve the Baker Tilly proposal for the DWSRF. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurschterbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. So with that, I would like to make a motion to approve opening new checking accounts for the CWSRF and DWSRF accounts.
Support. Spencer.
We have a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Spencer to open new checking accounts for the CWSRF and DWSRF. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wurschterbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. So now we'll have someplace to put the money when it comes in, right?
Yes. We actually already have it to start. That's the money that we moved from all the investments earlier this year.
Yes, yes. The next and final is an appointment to the Iosco County Dam Prosperity Group. They were asking for stakeholders to be involved in this group. Ms. McGuire had sent me an email requesting we approve her to be on that committee. And so I'm bringing that to the board. I would like to approve Ms. McGuire to be on that Iosco County Dam Prosperity Group Commission.
Support.
As an amendment, can we appoint Ms. Klein as the alternate?
I'm sure. I don't mind.
I will amend my motion to include Ms. Klein as the alternate for that group. Support. We have a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Taser to approve Ms. McGuire to the Oscoda County Dam Prosperity Group and Ms. Klein as an alternate. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurstabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
Go get him.
Well, that was a lot of business to conduct this evening. Next is the second public comment period. You can speak on any issue at this time. Just ask that you state your name when you come up to the podium for the record. Yes.
Hi there, Kathy Woosterbarth. I would like to tag on to the comments about the RAB meeting that occurred last week. It wasn't a lengthy meeting, like Tim had mentioned, 3 hours and 45 minutes, which is longer than our typical meeting. I would like to actually talk a little bit about who is currently serving on the RAB in terms of community members. The RAB was established in 2017, so it's been 6.5 years. And some of us have been on this for 6.5 years, including Tim. So I really appreciate that. But I do want to name these current community RAB members specifically. So Arnie LaRich, who some of you may remember, who really did inspire this RAB, their creation of this, and really urged this township to engage in that process. Scott Lingo, Rex Vaughn, Dave Wynn, Greg Schultz, Josh Sutton, Kyle Jones, Bill Gaines, myself, Dave Carmona, and our co-chair, Mark Henry, who you all have met because he's presented here. I also want to recognize that at this last meeting, again, it was 3 hours and 45 minutes, Bill Palmer and Tammy Klein came for the duration of the meeting and listened patiently through the entire process. So I really appreciate them being at this meeting. It was an interesting meeting because we had really made some progress with the Air Force agreeing to these interim remedial actions that would capture those PFAS plumes that are coming off of the base flowing into Vanetton Lake. They sort of backtracked at this meeting saying they weren't going to capture the entire plume, so that was pretty frustrating for us as community members, and that's where some of those questions were directed. We also had some questions about the east side of Vanetton Lake that need to be addressed, and there was some new reports about a vapor intrusion report or studies that are being done on in buildings on the base. So that was some new information that we were trying to process. I also want to thank Jenny Haglin from the Oscoda Press, who has been through this process through the duration. I really appreciate her reporting. And also the contractors who, they are in our community doing all of this work. Andrea is one of them. I don't know how to say her last name. Do you know? Stowaway. So she's a vital person that, communicates between the township and the RAB, and she really is one of the main people that keep all of this together. So there's a lot of working parts. I appreciate your compliment, Tim, in terms of getting some participation from myself, but there are a lot of people involved in this RAB, and I think we're making progress. We just got to stay on it. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Yes.
You can just give me a second. I'm going to put the timer on for myself. It's kind of hard when you come up here to talk and you don't know where you're at. Kelly Brown, Oscoda. A couple of items. Where is our debt as a percentage of our taxable value? Does anyone know that calculation? When I was reviewing the packet with regards to the bonds, I just Googled because I really didn't know anything about it, so I was curious where our rating is. Does anybody have that calculation? No? Oh, we probably should get that, just to find out our rating. The water loss report hasn't been in the last few board packets. Where are we at with discovering those leaks? Do we have a plan? You know, we haven't heard an update on that in a while. I noticed on the financials, there was a annual payment for MIC TV, who we use here tonight, obviously, to record. And I was just curious why we weren't paying it in installments. So I went out and looked for the contract. My question is, which kind of relates back to my question about the debt as a percentage, and then also the bond ratings that you were talking about with the studies, since we're going to be taking out these large bonds, that was due in December, and it just got paid 60 days late. And also, at the last meeting, as I mentioned, I wasn't able to be here, but on the 2/6 check run that was in the 2/12 meeting packet, all of the departments had the ATI for October paid in addition to February. So we paid October phone bills with ATI 4 months late. Is there any other delinquencies going on? And, you know, is there any way we can do some checks and balances so that that does not affect our potential bond rating? So that was that. I went to the the February 22nd, last Thursday. I thought it was going to be a work session, but it ended up being a closed session, and then there were some items on there that were open. The first thing that really struck me, and I did a little research back on it, was that the attorney said she didn't even know why she was here. And then one of the last comments that she made was that she thought that the board was very divided and there could be some cohesiveness. And so I started, you know, and she said that she could be available via Zoom. I don't know why we didn't do that. And of course, you all know I love the numbers. So I went out and just figured from Farmington Hills, I wasn't really sure where their office was initially. They're located in Farmington Hills, which kind of made me question, why do we have an attorney from Farmington Hills? But anyways, just for the numbers, if it was a 4-hour drive, assuming she had to stop and maybe use the restroom or get something to drink or eat, 4 hours each way, 2.5 hours here, that's 10.5 hours at $170 an hour. We're at then 67 cents a mile per the IRS at 362 miles round trip. Add all that together, that's $2,040. That would buy a lot of additional flowers for the beautification committee to put around town this year, and that money's gone. And ultimately, she didn't know why she was here. So I'm just wondering, why do we have an attorney from Farmington Hills? And how did this come about? So I went back and looked when we switched attorneys, which was December 13th, 2021. And it looks like that was the day that we terminated Mr. Friel, and we were going out for RFPs. But I went from that date all the way through to March, and we have no RFPs at all. So I don't understand how we came about with this attorney and why we're using someone from downstate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes.
Sure. Thanks, Scott.
Good evening. As always, I'd like to thank you for your service. I know it's not an easy job being a public servant, and appreciate that each of you are giving your time, energies, efforts, and talents to do it. A few months ago, I came in front of the board and I let all of you know that our Board of Education at Oscoda Area Schools, and I apologize, my name is Scott Moore at Oscoda Area Schools, I'm our district superintendent, let you know that we were considering the possibility of going for an extension of the bond that we had in place. And the Board of Education has decided to go for that extension and wanted to let everyone know what this project would entail. Voting will be a special election May 7th. Absentee ballots beginning on March 28th would be available at local clerk's office for all different municipalities in our community. The biggest part of the project would be the asbestos abatement and heat conversion of the high school. They're estimating in regards to our architects and engineers that it's going to be anywhere from $7.5 to $8 million for that project. It's a huge undertaking to convert from steam heat to other more economical projects that we're going to need to have in place. Plus, there's a lot of mechanical piping that's wrapped in asbestos. And then as soon as we get into puncturing any of the ceilings that are definitely asbestos filled, we're going to have to abate all of it. And it's, like I said, 114,000 square feet. So that's a big project. We are going to be looking at getting some roofs taken care of, a lot of mechanicals, the electrical in a lot of the buildings is the original. Our auditorium needs to be updated. So those are some of the projects, along with our playground equipment, some of the same playground equipment that I used. Some of the desks are the same desks that I used, and several of you who are sitting up there. So that being said, we are going to be going into that part of the process. I would say that in terms of necessary projects, at least 65–70% of them are going to be necessary projects that have to happen one way or another. The other component of this is our community has called for a community center, and we are hopeful to be able to provide that through Oscoda area schools. And by doing that, we're looking to have it behind Richardson Elementary School. It would be a 30,000 square foot facility that would have the ability to have a lot of different sports courts and different activities, opportunities for our community to come and use. And we will make it available to the community all the days that school's in session. Our tentative plan is that we'd have it from 7 o'clock a.m. until 8 p.m. at night, with the exception of 10:30 until 12:30, 10:30 a.m. to 12:30, so kids could have a venue to blow off some steam in the event of inclement weather. We still would try and have it open somewhere in the ballpark of 12 hours on the weekend, and in the summer we would probably have limited hours unless the community deemed to have more. If there are any groups or further information that any of you could put me in contact with, I'd be thankful and appreciate all of your service, and don't hesitate to let us know if we can be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Mark Miller. 3 simple comments. Can we get an audio engineer to fix the speaker and the sound? The whole time I was here, it was like the radio in the background going whoosh. So I don't know whether you moved the speaker. Question, have you started working on the audit for 2023? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Matt Clary, Oscoda. You guys did a motion today for the fireworks. I think you might want to re-amend that to also throw in an alternate date. You did not put that in your motion, just so. You've just heard about the fire protection on the pier, but no alternate date for the fireworks. I don't think that was in the contract that we saw in the packet, so that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Greg Schultz. I wanted to guess maybe didn't articulate myself well enough, and I want to repeat that I find it somewhat concerning that the board doesn't want to be involved in the hiring or firing of a handful of employees for the township that run departments. You can't delegate the hiring of police officers and by Michigan common law, and I think the fire chief, and to find some of these other departments not worthy of your attention doesn't make any sense to me. It absolutely doesn't. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to be involved in that. And delegating that out, to me, doesn't really, you're not really doing your due diligence and making sure that we're doing the best thing for the town. The other thing I guess I would ask the board to do is release an unredacted version of the hostile work investigation. Presumably there was nothing there, as the supervisor said, there was nothing there, so there was no reason to release it. I think there's enough background noise about that. It's come up several times. There's a handful of people that keep bringing it up. just get it out in the open and put it to bed instead of letting it linger. If it was done as thoroughly as the ethics investigation, it'll probably speak volumes. But hopefully it was actually done in a reasonable way, and it will clear the air. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I don't see any more hands, so next, board comment. Mr. Wisterbarth.
None tonight.
Mr. Taser?
Just that as Mr. Freeman mentioned, the Michigan State Housing Development Authority has approved Oscoda Township request for a housing readiness and incentive grant in the amount of $50,000. This will allow us to amend our and rewrite our 165 ordinance. We had put into our capital improvement plan $30,000 to do that. This $50,000 grant will cover that, and there is a $12,500 match on that, so we're making out pretty good on that, on our capital improvement fund for that. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Ms. McGuire?
2024 is a leap year this year, so you have an extra day to pay your taxes if you haven't done so already. The office, even though the regular office hours for the Township Hall are 9 to 4, the Treasurer's Office will be open. We have to be open by law from 8 to 5 p.m., and Jane and I will both be there. Also, if you come in after 5 o'clock and we have already left, please use the drop box at the back of the parking lot. We will still accept it as being paid on time. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cummings?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Mr. Spencer?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Sutton?
I would just like to remind everybody that tomorrow is presidential primary. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. Come out and vote. Don't care who you vote for, but I do care that all 6,830 registered voters vote. That's probably the biggest part of my job. I love it. Want to see everybody out there. I know we have a lot of absentee. They've already done their thing. So looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow and see you out there to vote. If you haven't done absentee or early voting, again, we will be there from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Hope to see everybody there.
Thank you. My only comment is, first, I'd like to thank Ms. McGuire for conducting the last meeting. I was on vacation with my wife in Florida. I did try to send some warm weather up. I think you had some warm days while I was gone, so that was effective. And I tried to bring some back with me, so we're having some warm weather now. She did sort of set a record on getting the meeting done in like 37 minutes. I knew that wasn't going to happen tonight because we had quite an extensive agenda, but thank you for taking over while I was gone. We had a wonderful time. I wanted to mention, and I know we've mentioned this before, but Ms. Wisterbarth, and she doesn't like to get a lot of attention, but she was facilitated the creating of the NOW group, the Need Our Water, and they are responsible for, in my opinion, for the work that they've done with our legislators, going to Washington, polling our legislators, bringing them into Oscoda. They've been here many times and met with groups of us to put pressure on the Air Force. And I think we are now seeing the results of that, because it seems to me, and as was mentioned at the RAB meeting, the Air Force is considering more opportunities for cleaning up the mess that they left on the base when they closed. And I think the NOW group is primarily responsible for that effort. If it weren't for our legislators putting pressure on the DOD, we would be back where we were 7 or 8, 9 years ago, with them dragging their feet, and every other year there was a new person running the program here for the Air Force, and little to nothing was getting done. That has changed. Things have stepped up. They've taken on responsibility for things. Recently they paid to slip line the Mission Street storm sewer line, which I've had concerns with for years. We've had blockages in that. I'm still concerned about the central plant storm sewer, but we're talking with them about a possibility of, in the future, them working with us if there is a failure in that storm sewer. We are going to do video cameras of that line to keep track of it every 6 to 7 years to make sure there aren't any problems. And the Air Force has said if there was a problem that we could identify that's related to them pumping, and they're pumping about 1.5 million gallons of water a day through that line, that they would look at taking some responsibility for those repairs. They are going to be using that facility for the next 40, 50 years. It's not like this is a short-term process here. So it's going to take a long time to clean up what's here. But they are stepping up the time on what they're doing and the things that they're doing. So I'm appreciative of that. It was mentioned that our attorney had said she didn't need to be here, but I think that was in relation to the other items we were talking about, because we did have to have a closed session relating, and I can't talk about what that was, but it does relate to a lawsuit that she will be handling for us. So she did need to be here to talk to us about that issue. And with that, I'm happy to see the sun, and hopefully we'll have an early spring. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn. So moved. We are adjourned.